Now, let's have a look at some terrible scenes from Nepal, where at least 19 people were killed and hundreds more injured during youth-led protests, riots over corruption and Nepal's social media bans. That seemed to be at the crux of these protests, the social media bans. Now, the majority killed were in the capital, Kathmandu, when they were fired upon by security forces. The government there, Kosha, moved last week to ban social media sites like Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, and they claimed that was necessary to stop hate speech and misinformation, but the protesters saw it as a tool for censorship. It's interesting because it sounds very familiar to some of the bans we're having instituted here, where under 16s are going to be banned from YouTube, X, Instagram, and many other sites.
Very familiar all throughout history. You see this where people in power try to control information flow and access to information. And countries like Nepal, Burma had an incident like that maybe a decade ago, and there were all these activist journalists trying to get it out on the internet, etc. In the day and age of the internet, it's really, really difficult for them to do that. So it's kind of like whack-a-mole, that the governments will keep doing it, but they will always find a way to get information out there. But it's bad enough if you see it in Nepal and Burma and places like that. I think what is worse is, as you mentioned here, the UK now has been in the crosshairs with this, and that's the part that's scary, that so-called nations that are supposed to be bastions of free speech are doing something that doesn't look quite too different from that, and maybe this is a little bit of a clarion call.
And using the same reasons about minimising harm, for safety reasons, for misinformation. So, yeah, the reasons given are very familiar as well.
Indeed.
Now, before you go, more political chaos in France. Emmanuel Macron is about to be looking for his fourth Prime Minister in just 12 months. This comes after French MPs toppled the government in a confidence vote. Kosha, is Europe's second largest economy in crisis?
Seems to be. You know, the fundamentals of that country, we know it's very similar to the rest of Europe and elsewhere. The immigration problem, cost of living, censorship, you know, all of those things, people, unemployment, etc. And then they formed this very uneasy alliance because in response to that, Marine Le Pen's party is on the rise, as are her counterparts in the rest of Europe, the populist right. And then they're forming these uneasy alliances, the rest of the parliament. So it was always going to be tenuous. Not surprising, I think, to many people that this happened. And the question is, Macron himself is losing popularity, and you know, when and how is his story going to end remains to be seen. But they'll do another snap election. This is all downstream from the snap election that he called. He made a political calculation that sort of backfired. And I think as long as those fundamentals in France remain unchanged, as they seem to be right now, this is sort of a patchwork, and it's going to keep toppling over.
Kosha Gada, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.